This is Game Set Match Kentucky episode 47, recorded on Thursday, June 26th, 2025, entitled, I Kind of Wish They Were All Indoors. Hey everybody, it's time for another episode of Game Set Match Kentucky, where we talk about all things related to tennis in Kentucky, especially the Central Kentucky Tennis Series. I'm Chris Godby, the chairman and one of the founders of the CKTS, where the lines are good and sandbagging is for golf. I am in Studio A at CKTS headquarters in Russell Springs. Everybody say hello to Coach Chad Young in Studio D in Bowling Green.
That's right, Studio.
I have sound effects. I'm going to be playing with those at random times. So.
Studio D's kind of the de facto home now for me. So.
That's right.
Goodness. You know, when I used to do radio, I was the one who had the controls, and I was the one that had the ability to do the sound bites. And now I see how annoying that could be when you're the only one that can make those things happen.
Well, hey, I'm lucky to even be here right now because of all the injuries I sustained in your tournament. We'll get to that in just a few minutes, but I'm glad to be here in one piece in Studio A. So let's look at what
people were talking in the bleachers. From what I understand, they're like, I wonder how much of this match is going to be discussed on the podcast. So our fans are aware.
I think it's going to be, I'm not convinced that it was unintentional. Maybe it was. All right, we'll get to that, and we'll get to that in just a few minutes. But today on this episode of Game Set Match Kentucky, we're going to preview the State Farm Etown Open. We're going to congratulate those that were the winners of the 40 and over state championships, and also the winners of the 18 and over state championships. All this plus tennis news and announcements and a whole lot more that you never asked for. But first things first, let's talk about the second annual Sydney Cassady Memorial Tournament from just a couple of weeks ago. It doesn't seem like it's been already 2 weeks since that went down, but that was June 14th and 15th in Bowling Green, Kentucky. I'm sitting right here next to the director of that tournament, who did an awesome job moving everything indoors. Like 99% of the matches were indoors, correct?
Actually, 100% of the matches were played.
I thought you had to play one outside.
The very last match, we moved outdoors. We tried to send a match outdoors earlier Sunday afternoon, and it was a weekend with rain in the forecast. Basically, sunrise to sunset of like 70-80%. And we actually didn't have too bad of a weekend weather-wise. There was a lot of sunshine. And so we did at one point in time, got a little behind on Sunday, tried to send people outside. Sure enough, it rained before they could even make it out there.
Well, there was a point on Saturday, because I was there both days. There was a point on Saturday when it looked like you were ahead of schedule at one point. You had a couple courts open.
Yeah. Saturday went really smoothly, but then that's to be expected. The thing that really gets us in trouble sometimes on Sunday is when you have people playing in multiple semifinals and multiple finals, and they get their rest in between, and you just kind of stagger, and so you get a little behind because of that. Saturday, that's not an issue, and so Saturday was remarkably precise in terms of timing. But I wanted to go back. You mentioned, the title of this podcast is "I Kind of Wish They Could All Be Indoors." There's something to be said for being at one location and being in a controlled environment, and not having to deal with the heat.
I play very well in the air conditioning for me.
But I do understand that tennis is an outdoor sport, and
I guess
the elements are a factor and should be a factor. But It was very nice. Setup was a lot easier because the facility takes care of some of that. And, as long as people showed up and people didn't take too long on changeovers, things went very, very smoothly. But I wanted to talk about, why we moved into Sunday or why we moved indoors. And, you look at forecasts, and forecasts are predictions, they're guesses, and they're frequently wrong. And it's always frustrating as a tournament director or as a coach when you make adjustments to schedules. One of the worst things as a high school coach is when you cancel practice or you cancel a match because the forecast says it's going to be raining at 3 or 4 o'clock.
Right.
Then you walk outside and it's sunny. And you feel like, man, we just wasted a day. And it always seems to hit me once a season. And it's kind of the same feeling on Saturday and Sunday. I went outside and it's beautiful out there. And we'd had some rain at times in the morning, but I was going to pick up some stuff. I think I was going to get some lunch on Saturday. It was beautiful outside. Mm-hmm. But I drove 5 minutes down the road. It was pouring.
Yes. As I drove back to Russell Springs from Bowling Green, I would go through torrential downpour, sunny skies. Yeah. Torrential downpour, sunny skies. All day. Sunday was the same way too. So you definitely did the right thing. You made the right call to move it inside. Even playing the Fast Four, I don't think was a bad idea. Nobody complained to me.
No. And a lot of people don't like the Fast Four format, and I get that. I just come from the 40 over state tournament in Lexington, where all but one of our matches was Fast Four. But just so people understand kind of what goes into the decision there. From my perspective, the reason I moved it indoors is because the forecast was really, really high for rain both days. It wasn't like it was just going to rain in the afternoon, because if we could have done that, it would have been a lot easier. If we could have got the morning matches played outdoors, then we would have been just able to finish indoors. But the most important thing for me was, if we moved it indoors, could I get enough matches played in the time that I had allotted? And just for reference, I just went back and looked at some numbers. Last year's tournament that was played completely outdoors, I think. But I had 75 matches to play on Saturday between the two sites. If you look at the scheduling formula that the USTA uses in their charts, it's called a Garmin scheduling system that I've used for years. And you can tell it how many courts you have and how many matches you need to play, and it'll tell you what time to schedule those, and so on and so forth. And it staggers them so that basically you've always got somebody waiting a little bit to take your open courts. It is supposed to produce no open courts. It only, for an hour and a half match, which is what most 2 out of 3 sets with the match tiebreaker are supposed to take. It's supposed to be about an hour and a half. You can only play 54 matches. And so, when you look at that, starting at 8 a.m. and finishing at, 8:30, and you can only get 54 matches in, and we needed to get in 75 last year. This year we needed to play 72. That's why you had to change your format, because otherwise you're just not going to get it done. The other thing I did was I moved, what I think most tournament directors try to do is, if it's a women's open final, because that's always usually a small draw, and they're only going to play one match, or somebody's going to just play a semifinal and a final, you try to get it done on Saturday. That way it doesn't take up their whole weekend. But that was one of the first decisions I had to make, was we were going to do only round of 16 and quarterfinal matches on Saturday, and any semifinal and was going to have to be moved to Sunday. That was first priority. And so that got me down to, I think I was actually maybe like 65 matches with that. And so that gave me a little bit of wiggle room. So I was able to play a couple semifinals and maybe the second round of a round robin. and that got me to 72 matches. And I could do that if I reduced the average match time to an hour. And so that's kind of what goes into that. How many matches do you have to play on Saturday? How many matches can you play given the number of courts we had indoors? And that's why we kind of made the decision to push some semifinals to Sunday, and then also to shorten the format. And I think
I'm completely behind all of it. I mean, I'm with you on all of it. I mean, I think you made the right decision to just book it all indoors and to do the Fast Four. No complaints from me. I thought you did a fantastic job, and I'm still saying that after you hit me twice during a tennis match. We'll get to that. Well,
because I also think one of the worst things about tennis, whether it's high school, whether it's USGA, one of the worst things is just sitting around waiting. If you end up sitting around and waiting for 2-3 hours.
And uncertainty with that waiting. Like, right. If you know you're waiting 1 hour, 60 minutes, okay. But if you don't know if it's going to be 60 minutes or 180 minutes, you have no idea, you're just at the mercy of the weather, that's harder.
And so moving it indoors gave us the ability to allow people to kind of know what time they were going to play. And we were pretty precise with that on Saturday. Sunday, like I said, because of people playing and advancing in multiple divisions, it makes it a little bit more difficult. But even that, there was one point in time on Sunday afternoon where I wasn't able to get a 3 o'clock. I wasn't able to get a 2 o'clock match on until 3. But other than that, we were no worse than like a half hour behind schedule.
People that played, and I haven't done this yet either, I need to do it, but players will get a survey email from USTA. And you need to fill that out, and you need to say what a great job Chad did. You need to go back 2 weeks before that and say what a great job Amber Brown and Evan Brown did on the Miller Park tournament. So give us that feedback, good and bad feedback.
And that's right. Positive and negative.
Sure. Well, let's take a look at who these champions are from the Sydney Cassady. If you would like to start us off with the juniors with boys 12 and under singles, please.
Okay, boys 12 singles. Reed Kickert was the champion. Again, shortened format, so everything's going to be a 4. And Reed Kickert won 4-1, 4-0 over Wyatt Joyner.
In boys 14 and under singles, it was Evan Bell as the winner over Roger Pierce, 4-love, 4-2.
In boys 16 singles, it was Henry Wright defeating Carter Bernard, 4-0, 4-0.
And in boys 18 and under singles, Braden Johnson defeated Miles Mudd, 4-1, 4-love.
And that was the only match that was played outdoors.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Our very last match. There was no girls 12 singles. Girls 14 singles was a round robin, and Allie Bird was the winner, winning both of her matches.
In girls 16 and under singles, Ava Walker defeated Riley Morris, 4-love, 4-1.
Girls 18 singles, it was Claire Riney defeating Peyton Limley in a tiebreaker. Claire won the first set 4-2. Peyton won the second set 4-2. And then Claire, and this was a little bit of a funky thing. Normally we play a 10-point tiebreaker, but the USDA sanctioning format for a shortened format is a 7-point tiebreaker. So Claire won the tiebreaker, the match tiebreak 7-5.
In boys 18 and under doubles, Carter Bernard and Miles Mudd defeated Jack McCubbins and Naru Sugi 5-4, 7-5 in that tiebreaker, and then another 5-4 set with an 8-6 tiebreaker for that set.
It was a really, really competitive match.
Looks like
it. In girls 18 doubles, Allie Bird and Arden Dethridge defeated Peyton Limley and Paisley Harris 4-0 in the first set, and then they lost the second set 4-1, and then won the match tiebreak 7-2.
A very back and forth there. Let's move to the adults. Men's Open singles. George Hopkins defeated Dylan Dethridge 4-2, 4-2.
Men's C singles. It was Giovanni Cataloni defeating Steve Parsons 4-2, 4-2.
In men's B singles, Joshua Morris defeated Evan Brown 4-1 and 2-love, then an injury retirement.
In men's 40 singles, it was Jackson Grover defeating Gaku Mitsumatsu 4-2 and 4-2.
In women's open singles, we had a round robin. In first place, winning both of her matches, was Erin Riney. Second place, Kimberlyn Doherty.
Women's B singles was a good match. April Harris defeated Madison Limley 4-1, and then Madison won the second set in a tiebreaker 7-2, and then April won the match tiebreak 7-2.
In men's open doubles, Dylan Deathridge and Tom Pennington defeated Owen Brown and Harish Shabazz 4-1, 5-4, and 7-5 in that tiebreaker.
Men's C doubles, Scott Harris and Matthew Kondo defeated Benjamin and James England, losing the first set in a tiebreak 7-5, winning the second set 4-0, and then winning the match tiebreaker 7-4.
All right. And then in men's B doubles, Van Patterson and Dan Duncan were at 1-1 in the first set, and then Timothy Davis and Denny Murray retired due to injury at that 1-1 tie.
Yeah, Denny injured himself, and that match was played outdoors, and they didn't stay out there very long before the injury occurred, and then it rained.
Oh, goodness.
In men's 40 and over doubles, it was an
Hang
epic
on,
match.
I got to get a drink of water here before we maybe some aspirin. Go ahead.
Men's 40 and over doubles was a round robin, and Jackson Grover and some lunatic named Chad Young were the winners, going 2-0, and Tim Perkins and some moving target named Christopher Godby was the second place team, the runner-up.
All right, you got the lunatic part right, and I guess you got the moving target part right. Key emphasis on the word target. So a little bit of backstory. Chad and I, for as long as we've known each other, I don't think we've ever played in a tennis match against each other. So we're both in men's 40 doubles, and it's a round robin. Everybody's going to play everybody. So on Sunday afternoon, we play each other for the title because we both had defeated the other two gentlemen in the round robin. Mm-hmm. So this was a match for first place, and it was a very good match, I'll just say. And you played really well. You hit some like wicked slice volleys, backhand volleys. There was one shot you hit. I can't even describe it here for people, but like you were leaning to your left and hit it to the left, and it went like straight to the side near the sideline. And it was like, I was thinking, man, that's a beautiful shot. And it sucks that we lost that point, but good play. And you hit me twice.
Yep, I did. One a backhand volley and one a forehand volley.
Yeah, once you hit me in the back because I think I turned to try to avoid it and got hit in the back. And then the second time, there was no time to get away from your intentional shot towards me. It hits me right here, and no bruises or anything. I was going to come on the show today like wearing a sling and have bandages wrapped around my head, but I mean, this hair, I couldn't mess up this hair. Come on. So anyway.
It was a good match. I mean, we got off to a slow start. You guys beat us in the first set, 4-2, I think, and then we just had some really good games. I thought you played well. I haven't played you in a while, and I haven't played you since your injury, and so I didn't really know.
I don't believe we've ever been on the court together, Chad. Yeah. Have we?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
The funny thing is we were scheduled to play. I thought we'd play each other a couple of years ago in Glasgow. And I was supposed to play the fabulous Humphreys brothers. And you were in the other semifinal. And I thought we would win. But Don played singles and wasn't feeling well. And so Steve was allowed to make a last-minute substitution, and he ended up recruiting guy you might be familiar with named W.D. McCubbin to play with him, who is a fantastic player, and no offense to Don, is a little bit of an upgrade.
Right.
And so we lost our match, and then I think you ended up playing them. So I think I was I don't play a lot of mixed. You used to play a lot of mixed. So I guess that's why we've never run into one another. But I did not want to lose. And so you definitely saw the competitive side of Chad.
You were definitely competitive. You were in a whole other mode out there, and like, I mean, that if you do that, if that's what you do it. I mean, you should do that. For me, I want to win, but it's also, I'm like, at my age, I'm thankful to be out there. I'm thankful to be playing. And after surgery 2 years ago on my foot, I'm thankful to be back running at full speed. I'm just glad to be there. So, I mean, I hated that we lost, but we lost to you and Jackson. You both played really well, and maybe we'll play. I hope we play again because that was a fun match. I like good competition like that.
But
enough about men's 40, huh?
I did feel bad because I don't want to say I don't try to hit players, because that's how I was taught to play doubles, and so. But I don't like to hit anybody above the waist. So.
You were taught to hit people?
Yes, absolutely. That's
really?
The best place to volley. Yeah, you volley right you volley right at the net person. If you try to avoid them, you'll end up hitting the racket, and they might get it back over. I was always taught you volley to their right hip, because that's the hardest ball to volley.
I have heard that too, actually. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's always weird as a coach too, because I have to teach kids that, I mean, you're not doing anything wrong if somebody gets hit. You don't want to hit anybody, in the face. But they've got a racket there to protect themselves, and it's if you watch at the professional level and the college level, you're getting hit from time to time. And if you want to blame somebody, you blame your partner.
Well, as my late friend Cliff Randall used to say, if they're between the lines, blank them.
That's right.
So, game on, and congratulations. I did get a runner-up. I did get a runner-up llama trophy. So
yeah. So that's something else special about the Sydney Cassady event is we try to just do it's a tournament in memory of a player that played for me a few years ago who died in a car crash, and so you can see the picture that we include of her with a llama. And so the llamas are the trophy. And I think people like them. They're memorable, You see this sitting on somebody's desk, or on somebody's shelf. I mean, you're going to notice that more than, just your regular, tournament trophy.
I like it. I like unique trophies. I once won a handmade coffee cup in a trophy about 23 years ago. So yeah, and I still have it somewhere. So yeah, I like unique stuff like that. It's pretty cool. Well, enough about 40 and over doubles. Let's move on. What's next? I'm next. So let's see. That'll be women's open doubles. All right. Our friend Trina Rickard and her partner Michelle True defeated Alexis Hales and Alexis Victory 4-1, 5-4, and 7-2 in that tiebreaker.
Women's B doubles ended up being a walkover in the final. So Jessica Owsley and Liz Stevenson were the winners over Becky Stovall and April Harris.
In mixed open doubles, Bernard Howard and Arden Dethridge defeated Jackson Donovan and Morgan Robertson 4-2 and 4-love.
And in mixed B doubles, Joshua Morris and Heidi Van Ameringen defeated Kyle and Jessica Owsley 4-2 and 4-2.
And before we move ahead, let me tell you about Vision Cabinet Source. Thinking about a home renovation or a new build? Start with the cabinets, because great spaces begin with great design. And there's no better place to start than Vision Cabinet Source in Campbellsville, Kentucky. Vision Cabinet Source delivers premium cabinetry backed by a 17-step finishing process, ensuring top-quality craftsmanship that looks beautiful and lasts for years. From kitchens to bathrooms to office spaces, their wide selection of styles and finishes means you'll find the perfect fit, whatever your vision. And it's not just for locals. They ship nationwide, so no matter where you are in the U.S., you can get high-quality cabinets delivered right to your door. Whether you're a homeowner, a builder, or a contractor, Vision Cabinet Source makes it easy to get the look you want at a price that makes sense. Visit visioncabinet.com or call 270-465-3222 to get started. That's Vision Cabinet Source, where your vision becomes reality. It's time to talk about the next tournament already. It's hard to believe that the CKTS tournament season is already one quarter over, yet it's already time for the next tournament, the State Farm Etown Open in Elizabethtown, which will be on July 4th weekend, which is really July 5th and 6th, at Freeman Lake Park. With recent additions to this facility, they now have 15 courts. That was true last year at the Etown Open. They had the 15 courts. Early entries, Chad, are already strong, and it looks like it's going to be a big weekend in E-Town next week.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the nicest facilities in the state, especially with the addition. Having 15 courts, it's a great layout, you know, it's a unique venue. It's right on the lake, but you know, Karen does a great job with that tournament. I played it last year. I've played it a couple times. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it this year, but it is also one of the bigger events on the CKTS, and you know, a lot of times has some of the stronger fields. I think a lot of that's because of, you know, you have so many strong players in E-Town, but you also can pull some Louisville players, and a lot of folks have some E-Town connections and come from, you know, Lexington and areas in the eastern part of the state. So it is one of the premier events on the tour.
And let's give a round of applause for Karen. Yeah. Okay. You don't want to miss this tournament, even though Chad's going to. And actually, I missed it last year, and I'm going to have a hard time. I think I can get there late in the day on Saturday, so I'm hoping it works out that I can still play. I did register, so it's whatever. I'm at the mercy of Karen in the scheduling to whether I can play or not. But, folks, you don't want to miss this tournament. If you've never played the E-Town Open before, please sign up and make the trip. It's worth it, and you'll be glad you did. Be sure to register before that entry window closes on Tuesday night, July 1st at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. As usual, this time of year, there's a lot happening for tennis around Kentucky, so let's talk about some recent action as well as what's coming up with USTA Kentucky.
40 and over state championships were held the first weekend in June in Lexington. We'd like to say congratulations to the various team winners. For the 3-0 women, it was the Murray Spears team from here in Bowling Green. For the 3-0 men, it was the Milburn team out of Lexington. For the 3-5 women, it was the O'Connell team of Louisville. For the 3-5 men, it was the Caldwell team of Louisville. For the 4-0 women, it was the O'Connell team, also of Louisville. For the 4-0 men, it was the McCubbin team of Lexington, and they defeated the Bowling Green team, which I was a member of in the finals. So congratulations!
Let's give them a round of applause.
So congratulations to WD and his team. They're always a strong team, and a lot of those guys were on the team that won nationals a couple of years ago. So I have a feeling they'll do well at Southerns and maybe can make it to nationals again. 4-5 women, it was the Cunningham team of Lexington. The 4-5 men, it was the Isaacs team of Louisville. And all those sectional winners will advance, if they choose to the sectionals, which are in Rome, Georgia next month. I think the odd number, or I'm not sure how they have that, but it's split over a couple weekends in July.
Okay, so you said if they choose to, do some teams opt out of these trips?
Yeah. Some teams just can't make it. They don't have enough players that can go, and sometimes they'll allow an alternate team to go in their place.
Okay.
But sometimes, so sometimes you're the runner-up, and you can still make it to sectional if the team that wins it can't go. You can take their place, and sometimes neither can. So it's a great experience, but not everybody plans on it. I mean, I guarantee you the McCubbin team knew when sectionals were, but some teams, they've never won state, so people don't plan that far ahead, and the dates don't work out for them. But it's a great experience to play at sectionals. We won state last year and went to sectionals in Auburn, so it's a unique experience to play against the state champions from the other teams in the Southern section, and the Southern section is one of the more competitive ones. It's a tough section. If you win it, you can really be successful at the national event too.
Well, good luck to those that are participating in sectionals. Let's also congratulate the winners of the 18 and over state championships from this past weekend in Louisville. For the 2.5 women, it was the Milligan team from Louisville. For the 3.0 women, it was the Roberts team from Louisville. For the 3.0 men, it was the Becht team from Louisville. For the 3.5 women, it was the Schmidt team from Louisville. For the 3.5 men, it was the Hainline team from Purchase. For the 4.0 women, it was the Weber team of Louisville. For the 4.0 men, it was the McCubbin team from Lexington. And from the 4.5 women, it was the Jackson team from Louisville. And for the 4.5 men, it was the Isaacs Reeder team of Louisville. Good luck at sectionals next month in Sumter, South Carolina, and Mobile, Alabama. Two very historic places from the Civil War era.
Yeah, that's true. I've never I've been to Mobile. I've never played in Sumter, South Carolina, and I don't know that I remember seeing too many sectionals played there, but I'll have to look into that facility. Hey, did want to point out the 18 and over folks got beautiful weather for their weekend, which was last weekend.
Yes.
The 40 and overs, we had decent weather Friday morning, but then we had rain all Friday afternoon, pretty much all day Saturday, and then Sunday morning. So we played a lot of indoor tennis and a lot of short sets. So the 18 and overs, they got the good weekend because I think they had sunny skies all weekend and got to play the normal format.
So you chose to opt out of the 18 and over, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I can't do it. I mean, I'd like to. I captained a team to help our 18s qualify, but I mean, it's brutal with the high school season and then having the 40 and over and then having the Sydney Cassady the next weekend. I need a couple weeks off.
That's a lot on you. It sure is. Yeah.
A lot. So another trip to Louisville was probably more than I wanted to get into.
Are there some entire teams, and obviously there was a team name or two that got mentioned in the 18 and over and the 40 and over. Are some of these teams playing both? I mean, if their ages qualify them for both, they just keep the team intact and kind of do both?
I'm sure. I don't know if it's 100%. Certainly the 40 and over guys can play the 18s. I know, yes. For instance, WD's team, he a lot of the same guys were on the 18 and over that were on the 40 and over, but he had a couple other guys in there that weren't 40 that played on his 18 team. So I would say, probably the 4 or 5 men, the Isaacs team, probably the same thing where they had, a lot of the same people playing both those. And that's a big commitment to play, 2 weekends in June, especially if you have any other, family vacations, or like I said, if you're in the high school season and first weekend of the month is could be a travel weekend too.
Good luck to the teams in sectionals. I hope they make the trip. I hope they do well and represent Kentucky well. Game Set Match Kentucky is proud to partner with a very worthy cause, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. For only $11 a month, you can help provide homes for veterans and first responders in need.
No service member who has put on a uniform and served our nation should be without a home and the services they need. I'm Dave Portnoy, and I'm asking for your help. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation promises to eradicate veteran homelessness across the country so that no service member who has served our nation will be without a home and the services they need. That's why I'm asking you to contribute $11 a month to support these efforts by going to t2t.org or calling 1-844-BRAVEST.
Did you know that you can...
Huh? Dave Portnoy, how about that?
Yeah. Supporting the cause.
Yeah.
Hey, there we go. Yeah. That we could say we were on the same podcast as him.
Right?
There we go. Did you know that you can support tennis by playing golf? You can if you register for the Razor Racket Golf Scramble, which will be held on August 18th at Lake Forest Country Club in Louisville. Full details as well as early registration deals are available at raisearacketgolfscramble.com. This event, of course, supports the Raise a Racket Foundation, another very worthy cause. Do you have a set of golf clubs, Chad? Do you play golf at all?
I believe they're in the shed. I haven't. I've played golf, I think, twice in the last 15 years. I've got a group of friends that guys that used to live here, when they come together, we'll try to play, but I don't play a lot of golf anymore.
I do not own a set of clubs. So.
Yeah.
I got a mean putt game, though.
I would I'd like to say a little bit about Razor Racket.
Sure.
I'm on the USDA board, and we get reports about Razor Racket, and I'm impressed with the work they do. If there's anything that I think that the Razor Racket struggles with, is awareness of what they do. But they are very instrumental in helping tennis players and tennis organizations around the state financially. They put on the award ceremony in January that we have emceed. That's a Razor Racket. They also put on the middle school state tournament. But they're there to help people who need it for whatever tennis expenses they might incur. So they're a nonprofit that can really help with travel costs for junior players, or with things like, even like team fees or racket needs, equipment needs for junior players. And so, check out the Razor Racket page. There's a way that you can apply, or you can suggest people who might have some needs. And I'm impressed with what Amy and her staff do for the state with the Razor Racket, and this golf scramble will help them do that. They've had a goal, I believe, of trying to raise $100,000 a year, and that's a huge increase from where we were 5 years ago. And so hopefully folks will participate and get involved in that.
All right. You can play golf and support tennis at the same time. What else is going on, Chad?
Yeah. Also, don't miss the 30th anniversary of the Lexington Open this summer. Kentucky's only professional tour-level tennis tournament is July 28th through August 3rd at the Hillary J. Boone Tennis Complex in Lexington on UK's campus. Get your $25 advance ticket today, which includes a full-day event pass and a meal, including a sandwich, side, and a drink from DV8 Kitchen.
DV8.
DV8. Visit lexingtonopen.org for more information. I've never been. Our USDA board meeting for the for this quarter is going to be at the Lexington Open. So I'm excited. I'm going to go. I think we're meeting on the 30th, if I'm not mistaken, either the 29th or 30th. So I'll be there. And
I haven't been in about 3 years, so I may make the trip up for that.
I'm excited. If you don't know, it's a challenger level, I think, tournament. So you can see some players that you'll see in maybe a year or two on the ATP tour. There's a lot of people who are, top 20, top 50 players, playing in ATP 500s and even in Grand Slams, who just a couple of years ago were playing in Lexington.
And you also see players who were, ranked pretty high at one time, and they've fallen in the rankings for whatever reason, and they're kind of working their way back in, right?
Yep, that's right.
Well, for more details on everything happening with USTA Kentucky, visit them at USTAKY.com. You can also go to KentuckyTennis.com. It forwards to the same website. They're also on Facebook, very active on Facebook, at USTA Kentucky. And if you would like for us to promote your local level tennis events right here on an upcoming episode of this show, you can email us the information to info@gamesetmatchky.com. So upcoming events, we've got the State Farm Etown Open, July 5th and 6th. Entries opened this past Monday on June 23rd, and they close this coming Tuesday on July 1st at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. You can visit cktstour.com to register for that tournament and to see our complete tournament schedule for the season. You can follow the CKTS on Facebook, Instagram, and X with the handle @CKTSTour. CKTS tournaments are USTA sanctioned for juniors and adults at level 6, and our results are picked up by UTR. Chad, do you have any Soki tennis news for us, or do you have something to add before we get into that?
Well, before that, I did get a nice a note from a listener. Victor Alara sent a message, and he was listening to the last podcast we did, and he said that the USTA and UTR had an agreement to where their tournament results would be shared. So he wanted to let us know and said he enjoyed listening to the podcast. So I wanted to give him a little bit of a shout out. As far as Soki,
very good. Hi, Victor Alara.
Yeah, we have an event coming up. It's this weekend on Saturday, June 28th. Last year, the championships at Covington Woods won the USDA's special event of the year in its inaugural year, and so we're bringing it back. We have a grass court that is being finished here in the next day or two, and being painted, and so we'll have a grass court available at Covington Woods Park for the next 2 weeks, starting Saturday with this event. So we have a free event for kids, adults. There's a kids clinic from 10 to 11. There's an adult clinic from 11 to 12. And then we'll have a very relaxed social blind draw tournament, doubles, that'll start at noon. It's a free event. We do ask that you register. We'll have some Wimbledon themed food there. We just ask that you register at SokiTennis.net so we know how many people to expect. But this is a neat event because there aren't too many grass courts around, and just allows people to get a little bit of a taste of what they're going to see on television for the next 2 weeks.
So is it just a one-day event?
Just a one-day event. Now, the court itself is open. It's a public park at Covington Woods, so it's kind of first come, first served.
Okay.
And
so you can show up and play.
You could show up and play.
Okay.
But this event is a free event on Saturday, and it kind of kicks off that 2-week window where that court's going to be available for play.
I really want to come and see it. I mean, I've seen plenty of pictures, but I really want to come and see it. Well, you can learn more about Soki Tennis at SokiTennis.net or visit their Facebook page at Facebook.com/Soki Tennis. This would also be the point in the program where sometimes we have a challenge the call question. So since we haven't done that in a while, let me just bring everybody up to speed on that. If you have a question about, it can be about the CKTS or it can be about tennis in general, just sort of a why does this happen kind of question. Why are these sorts of decisions made? A question like that about our tournaments, or it could be about leagues. It could be about a rule in match play, anything like that. You can send us a question and we'll talk about it here on the program. You can email challenge@gamesetmatchky.com, and we always look forward to those. Those are fun. So if you would like to send us a question, please send it anytime. And with that, I think we're ready to serve out this episode. I'd like to thank everybody for watching and listening. You can subscribe with any major podcast apps on your mobile device, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, Amazon Podcasts, and Audible Podcasts. We're now also on Pandora, if anybody uses that, and YouTube Music, because Google Podcast is gone and replaced by YouTube Music. So I got us on that platform too. Let me say this also. Our website, GameSetMatchKY.com, is still up. It does not have the last episode on it. We changed podcast hosting platforms. All the feed is still the same. If you're a subscriber, you never knew the difference. This episode is going to show up just like all the others had, but we've changed podcast hosts, and I need to connect our website to that host. But if you're subscribing, you're still getting the episodes. And if you're just watching us on YouTube and Facebook, then none of that matters to you anyway. But that's what's going on there. So the website is a little bit out of date until I get it sort of caught up with the new hosting platform. And speaking of, if you would like to give us a review, we would love if you would, in your podcast platform, if you would give us a 5-star rating and leave a review. That would be great. You can follow this show on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and X, formerly known as Twitter, at GameSetMatchKY. Chad is on X at Chad Young Tennis, and I am on X at Chris Godby. I'd like to thank, again, our sponsor, Vision Cabinet Source, and I think we've got a sound coming in here that lets us know that Hawkeye says we are out. Until next time, I'm Chris Godby with Chad Young, who hits people in tennis matches with no mercy. And this has been Game Set Match Kentucky.